From breakout young studs to struggling superstars, Matt and I are talking the best and worst players from Week 4. So lock on in for today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Wane.
Yo, what's good, guys?
You can find us on all social media platforms and podcasting apps. Just search for Locked On Fantasy Baseball and we'll be there. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, which we truly appreciate, platform that allows you to, give us those 5-star ratings, reviews, do that for us. It goes a long way to help the outreach of the podcast, and we truly, truly appreciate it. Our everydayers and new listeners, we love all of our fans. Also, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, just hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the podcast, gives you a notification of every time we drop a new episode. And also, please be sure to like and comment on YouTube because we love to talk fantasy baseball with you. And guys, as I mentioned at the top, Matt and I are breaking down everything Week 4, from the studs to the duds and everything in between. And we're letting you guys know, what to do with these guys. And that's pretty much it. I will mention one thing here at the top of the episode. I got the throwback on the Bryce Harper Nationals jersey. And just to let you guys know, if you haven't heard already, Harper's going for a checkup tomorrow. And if everything goes well, he could be back in that Phillies lineup as soon as Tuesday. So if you do have Harper stashed in your IL, which Matt and I recommended for you to do all off season, get ready to make that drop to bring him off the IL and back to your fantasy teams. But, Matt, let's get into the, studs and duds of Week 4. Who do we got first?
Oh, well, we'll lead off with a great name, a name that everybody loves. That's Mr. Shohei Ohtani. And oh, hey, has he been all week with hitting another bomb today. He's got 6 runs on the week, 3 bombs on the week, 7 ribs, 4 stolen bases, batting .400. If you're one of the lucky few that actually have him on your team, God bless you. Like, that is phenomenal. He is an absolute steal this year. I mean, he was probably going in leagues that had him as separate positions between pitcher and batter as, like, probably your 9th or 10th pick in the draft. Whereas, like, if he was the single person with both pitcher and bat, he was probably your number 1 pick, and I wouldn't have blinked an eye at it. So, Shohei Ohtani, phenomenal start to the year. Kid is killing it. Let's go, Shohei.
Yeah, Matt, this guy just does it all. He had a little blimp on the radar on the pitching side this week, but we're talking about the hitting Ohtani, and man, Matt read you off those stats. I'll read you off the full season stats just in case you wanted to know. 27 games for Ohtani as a hitter, 106 at-bats, 17 runs, 4 doubles. He threw in a triple, 7 home runs as he hit one today, 18 RBIs, 5 steals. 10 walks or 25 strikeouts, which actually is not too bad, and that .292 batting average. Guy does it all, and, if you went out there and you took the chance on just grabbing the hitter Ohtani, it's absolutely paying off. If you got him as one player in your league where you get the pitching and the hitting stats, and, he probably went 1st, 2nd, 3rd overall, and you have him, you're reaping the rewards, all of it right now. So, cheers to that. Let's go to our next guy, who I think, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, is the first guy from in back-to-back weeks to go from the duds to the studs. Yep. And that is Jazz Chisholm Jr., man. We were a little bit worried about him last week. The numbers were a little bit lackluster. And then, Jazz said to, Matt and I, he's like, hold my beer. He said, hold my beer real quick. He said, I got you guys. He's like, I got you. So Jazz Chisholm, the cover superstar of MLB The Show 23 as well, said, I'm going to show out this week. Week 4, Jazz Chisholm, 4 runs, 2 bombs, 5 RBIs, 5 steals, .357 batting average. The guy is very, very talented. He's got the speed. He's got the power. The only things that really worried me was the batting average and the team that he's on. We know that Miami team doesn't really have much besides Jazz, and the batting average on his, career is 244. So, I wouldn't be shocked if he only hit 240 to 250 this year. The runs and RBIs, once again, depend on that team, but he's got 30-30 upside. I would even say 30-40 upside with 30 bombs, 40 steals for Jazz Chisholm. Sky is the limit. He's got that second and outfield eligibility now. And dude, gotta love that Jazz. His numbers still don't look great overall in the year. So if you can go out there and still buy low on him, I think Jazz is going to show us the rest of the way why he was drafted so high this year.
Yes, Jazz is doing his thing. I'm absolutely loving him. This is why I had him ranked so high. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to probably be the best second baseman in the league. That 240 to 250, I think, is more like a 250 to 260. I think he gets that course correct soon. It's still early in the season. We'll see. He's going to be phenomenal this year, but let's move on. Let's talk about somebody that's just been a waiver wire darling this year. And that's Jorge Mateo. I've said in the past couple episodes, past couple times he's popped up. He is a sell high candidate for me. He's absolutely performing well overboard of what he would normally do. He's an age 28 breakout. I'm not really liking that. The only incentive for this kid is one of the main reasons why I think he's playing so well. He signed a 1-year, $2 million contract with the Orioles. That's it. That's all he's got. He's playing for his life. So there is some true incentive for this kid to really play at the top of his game and really show out this year to try and get a contract for next year. He's doing that. So I think what he's trying to do is entice the Orioles to sign him for long term, get himself a bag of money, and then go back to taking an absolute dump. So if the Orioles do decide to sign him, that is the second I'm trading him. If he's still fighting for a paycheck and fighting for his meal, then he's a ride along and ride or die until then. But just keep an eye out, because I guarantee the second this kid gets a contract, that's where you see him fall from flat top. But let me praise the kid now, besides just taking a dump all over him, right? This week has been phenomenal. He hit a bomb today. 8 runs, 3 bombs, 5 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting about 333 on the week. Absolute slamming week. How you doing, Mr. Jorge Mateo?
Yeah. See, I need to do a little research. I have Mateo, and I got to do a little bit more research on him, because I don't know if he changed his swing or did something like that, because there's something different is going on here with Jorge Mateo, right? It's the fact that you don't just go from hitting 237 on his career to batting 353 this year to having 6 walks to 12 strikeouts when he only walked 27 times the whole season last year, had 147 strikeouts. I think something's changed. Once again, I can't say it with full confidence because I don't know, but I think he definitely changed something. One thing that has not changed is the elite speed. Mateo stole 35 bases last year. He could go 40, 45, 50. Sky is the limit with that type of speed. He only hit 13 home runs all of last year. He's already got 6 this year. He's almost halfway there in 22 games. So, I mean, you could definitely sell high, go get, a better value. But I'll even say this. If somebody, I have Correa and I have Mateo in multiple leagues. If somebody offered me Correa for Mateo right now, I don't think I'm taking that. And, Correa came in, way more highly ranked than Mateo, but Correa's taken a big dump too so far this year. So you can sell high on Mateo, but make sure you're getting the worth for him. And I'll read you his full season numbers, and he's got 22 games, 68 at-bats, 20 runs, 5 doubles, 6 home runs, 17 ribs, 10 steals, and as I mentioned, he's hitting 353. I love Jorge Mateo, and I think he continues to be solid. Not 353 batting average solid, but decent power, elite speed, and that Orioles lineup is pretty good, so the runs and RBI should be all right as well. But guys, real quick, if you're looking for a delicious snack but don't want all of the sugar and calories, then you need to try the best tasting protein bar ever, Built Bar. If you're like me and you want to make healthier snack choices, but you don't want to compromise on taste, I've got just the thing for you. Built Bars and Built Bar Puffs are absolutely healthy and taste amazing. You've got to try them. Built Bars only have 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. They come in unbelievable flavors like cookies and cream, double chocolate, or my personal favorite, churro. What makes Built Bar so good is Built Bar is, for starters, they're covered in 100% real dark chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And now you don't even need to wait around to get a box, because for years we've been talking about only being able to get your Built Bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Sam's Club or Walmart, and they have a bunch of different sizes boxes. They have 4, 16, and you need to load up on these Built Bars because they're absolutely delicious and they're healthy for you. And guys, this episode is also brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from where you are to where you want to be. If you're thinking about starting up therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB. And today, if you sign up, you get 10% off your first month. Once again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. Also, we want to thank our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. Be sure to look out for a new episode tomorrow where Matt and I cover all the best waiver wire ads heading into Week 5. Whew, guys, all right, so that was a long little bit there, but let's move into our next guy here, and let's talk about one of my favorite draft picks for this season. It's Clayton Kershaw. Now, the thing with Kershaw is, and I kind of say this every year, he for like the last 4 or 5 years, he always gets so underrated because he is a huge injury risk, man. And I fully understand that. I think everybody else understands that. But when he's pitching, he's a top 10 starting pitcher, guys. And I'm not even exaggerating. Let's talk about what Kershaw just did last week. This last week. 13 innings pitched, won both of his starts, 15 Ks, 0.69 ERA, 0.46 whip, and both of them were quality starts. And let's just do his stats on the year as well, because he's just so good. 38 innings on the year for Kershaw, 41 strikeouts, 5 wins, 1.89 ERA, 0.76 whip, and he has 5 quality starts on the year too. Just Kershaw's Kershaw. The guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's on, one of the, if not the best team in baseball. And the guy is just so talented, so good. There's not really much else you could say about Kershaw, except if you drafted him, it was such a value. You probably got him as your 3rd, 4th, maybe even some cases 5th starting pitcher, and the guy performs like an ace. He's probably due for an injury at some point, but as long as he's there for you in the playoffs, that's all that matters, and helps get you to the playoffs. That's a big help as well.
Yes, sir. Kershaw is definitely bound for the IL soon. It's just a matter of when those phalanges just give out. But until then, amen to that, man. He's the best pitcher in baseball. Let's move on here. I think you covered him perfectly.
Thank you, sir.
Let's talk about Mr. Kevin Gausman. Another one that I feel like, what? I'm guilty of this the last couple of years. I just undervalue him. I don't know what it is about him, but he always proves me wrong, and I'm glad when he does. His 2 starts this week were just absolutely bananas against the Yankees and the Mariners. Okay, against the Yankees, he got the W, 11 Ks, no earned runs, 0.43 whip, stud. Then he goes out against Seattle, 7 innings. Day 1, he didn't get the W, though. 13 Ks, no earned runs, 1 whip. He's just absolutely poo-pooing on everybody. He's just like, oh, you're gonna miss. Oh, you're gonna miss. Oh, I'm striking you out too. Oh, go. Oh, you're struck out too. He is just absolutely lighting it up in 38 innings on the year. He has 54 strikeouts on the year. He has a 2.33 ERA on the year. I am loving what he's doing this year. I am officially I can't overlook him next year. I just have to be fully in, and just until he doesn't do this is just how it's going to be. He is just absolute stud. Kevin Gausman, way to go. You're going to go. He might find himself in the Cy Young conversation this year.
Yeah, Matt. Perfect coverage, because I'm guilty of the same myself. Every year I underrate him, and I don't know why. I even said it to myself coming into the season. I was like, oh, don't underrate Gausman. And somehow I'm always dumb enough to make that mistake. And I said, I probably had him around like 30, maybe even 35, and I'm at starting pitcher. And just what a way to make me look stupid, Gausman. Guy's absolutely dominant. Don't sell high on him, because this is what he does. Last year, he pitched 174 innings, 205 strikeouts for Gausman last year. Yeah, the whip was a little high, but that was kind of an anomaly if you look at the last, 2 years before that. The guy's an absolute stud since he left the Baltimore Orioles. And Gausman, just congratulations if you drafted Gausman, because you probably got him as like your third, maybe fourth starting pitcher as well. I know he went a little higher than Kershaw, so maybe like third starting pitcher, but still, guy's performing like an absolute ace, so you can't go wrong with him. Let's talk about Joey Musgrove now as we move into the duds portion of this podcast. And, Musgrove actually is coming off of that injury, and I don't know if it's fair to throw him in this, category yet, but he's been bad since he came back off of, the IL. And it's only been 2 starts, but boy, oh boy, those 2 starts kind of have been, pretty bad. Joe Musgrove in his last start, he gave up 7 runs to the Giants, and he gave up 3 home runs. Velocity was fine. They were talking about, in Mexico City, since they're, very high above sea level, that, the ball goes a little bit further than it would in, like a place that's not like that. So we'll give him that, we'll give him that for now. But in his first start, he wasn't great against Arizona. 5 innings. Looks like he gave up 3 runs. He had 6 Ks in those 5 innings, so that was okay. The whip wasn't great either at a 1.40. He does get the Dodgers the next time out, so that's not going to be an easy start for him. But let's talk about Musgrove last year, because Joe Musgrove is pretty good, but he always has a bad second half. I don't know why. So whatever it is about him, he has a bad second half. But last year on the whole, 2.93 ERA for Musgrove, 181 innings, 184 Ks, and a 1.08 whip. So when he's good, he's good. I would throw a buy low offer, a super buy low offer on Musgrove, saying, "Oh, he's bad. He was banged up. He looks bad so far. After that Dodger start too. Maybe wait till after the Dodger start, because I don't think he's gonna have a good start against the Dodgers. Then try and buy low, because Musgrove is a good pitcher when he's on."
Hey man, I mean, I love Musgrove. I don't think this is what it is. I don't think that we've seen the last of what he can do. Musgrove is going to be an absolute stud once he does bounce back. So definitely a great buy low candidate. I mean, this is his first or second start back? Maybe
Second.
Third. Yeah. So, I mean, we really didn't even have a full spring. He's been shut down for a month. So we got to give him a little time. But let's move on to somebody I'm really worried about at this point. It's actually really terrible, and that's Mr. Nick Lodolo. Somebody I unfortunately, was touting this year. I really thought he was going to do it. He was trending in the right direction, but something is up this year. I don't know what it is, but I mean, his last 1, 2, 3 starts have been absolutely atrocious. His last start, which was today, 5.4 ERA, the 24th, Monday, a 13.5 ERA, and the 18th, a 15.43. It has just been terrible. But then his first 3 starts were good off the season. This is how I'm treating him right now. If you want to drop him, you kind of can. I won't blame you. I know we've gotten the comments during last week. What should I do? If you feel you need to, and there is somebody out there that you feel is going to take you better for long term, you can. If you are in a position where you can hold him, if your team is winning and your pitching isn't struggling, and you can leave him on the bench, I would rather you do that at this point, because there is a good chance that he could bounce back, and he has just not figured it out yet. And I would probably wait about another week before I really, I'm just saying, full out drop. But the worry-o-meter is a 8.5. So yeah. I would understand if you drop him at this point. Nick Lodolo has not looked like the Nick Lodolo in the past. And lastly, if you see him out on the waiver wire and you are the first place team and your pitching is rocking and rolling, Somebody drops him, scoop him up, wait a week, see what happens. If he starts figuring it out, if you see high K strikeouts but like an inflated 5 ERA, that's an encouraging sign. That's what I would say. Hey, go for it. Because one thing I will say is even with the 5.4 ERA in the last start, he has 7 Ks, 6 Ks, 4 Ks, which is terrible. But then 6 Ks, 12 Ks, 9 Ks. So he's at least going to get you the Ks. And if your team is performing, he may give you a boost in the K department while not. If your pitching is rolling, it's not going to hurt your ERA too bad from one guy. It's a matter of preference, and if you can kind of hold out. Nick Lodolo could be really bad. And before we move on here, I have to talk to you about our wonderful people here. And for championship teams, it's all about making sure players is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicles. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need a part, an accessory, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Motors, eBay's guaranteed fit. You can be sure every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green checks to let you know that your part fits just right or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is in the name of the game. And when you shop at eBay Motors, you want to have the same thing. So with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a W when you have the right parts are guaranteed. Get right parts, right fit, the right prices on eBay Motors. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions may apply. And after I butch that, Dom, go ahead and give your
all right, real quick before I dive into Lodolo, Matt, you were talking about dropping him, and I might be right there with you. Let's do a little name game real quick. We'll talk about some of the hot ads right now, and let's see if you'd rather have these guys or you'd rather have Nick Lodolo. Let's start with one of your boys, actually. Someone that, I know Matt likes. I like him as well, but Matt has him in more leagues than I do at the moment, and that's Logan Allen of the Cleveland Guardians. You dropping Lodolo for Logan Allen if he's out there in your league?
Yeah, kind of. He had a good start today, too.
Yeah, he pitched pretty good. What about another guy that had a great start today, great start to the season, Josiah Gray? Are you dropping Nick Lodolo if Josiah Gray's out there?
No, okay. I don't trust Josiah.
Okay, and let's see if we can find one more. Okay, Matt, here's a good one for you because he's still only 48% owned. If Mackenzie Gore is out there in the league, you're dropping Lodolo for Gore?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, a little name game there. I'm in the same boat here as Matt, but I'll say this: if you listen to us at all, our starting pitcher preview or just any time that talk about Nick Lodolo, I was very, very cautious about him. I think I had him around like 60 in my starting pitcher rankings because it just didn't feel right to me. One big thing was his splits from last year, Nick Lodolo's home and away splits. He pitched very, very good at home, and you don't see that very often in Cincinnati. So I didn't think that was going to last long, and especially when he pitched really bad away from home, it just didn't really feel right to me. He's a great strikeout guy, as Matt mentioned, so he'll get you a lot of strikeouts. It's just so tough to pitch in Cincinnati, and if he can't pitch away from Cincinnati or in Cincinnati, it's going to be very, very tough going here for Lodolo. I'm with Matt. I'm probably almost at a 9 for Lodolo. You could hold on to him if you're in a deeper league with not a lot of options out there, or as Matt mentioned, you're a team that's doing very, very well, and you kind of just want to see where Lodolo goes if you like him. You could really hold out, but I'm not holding my breath here on Nick Lodolo at the moment. I don't know how much better it's going to get. Even if he pitches to like a high 3 ERA the rest of the season with a whip that's probably not going to be great because his control's just not great. I've seen Lodolo pitch a bunch of times, and the control's not there. He really doesn't. He doesn't know where the ball's going a lot of the time. That's something he needs to work on. I'm not saying in 2 or 3 years from now he can't turn it into a Shane McClanahan type of ordeal, but for right now, this year, 2023, my hopes are not high on Lodolo. But let's keep it pushing here. Move on to next guy here, and that's Trea Turner. Man, he's on the year. He's doing okay, but he's not doing that World Baseball Classic Trea Turner or that number 1 pick Trea Turner. And especially the last week, Turner has 1 run, 1 home run, 1 RBI, batting 125. I think this is probably the last buy low window here for Turner, especially with Bryce Harper potentially coming back this upcoming week here. That Phillies team is going to take off, and I think Trea Turner is going to be the catalyst of it. I think he's going to be a big reason that Philly, has a great season the rest of the year. I don't foresee anything like this happening. Just in case you forgot, let's talk about what Trea Turner did last year real quick, and the reason why we were also high on, Trea Turner. Last year, he played 160 games, 652 at-bats, 101 runs, 39 doubles, 4 triples, 21 homers, 100 RBIs, 27 steals, and 298. I think that's enough said right there on Trea Turner. Bounce back is coming right around the corner.
Yes, sir. I love Trea Turner. Just got his jersey. You'll see it pop up on the show this week. So I'm loving that. But Trea Turner, I think, is just off to a slow start. I think that, honestly, it's that my rule about players on a new team in a new city, and honestly not with his team for the whole pretty much spring training, because he was with the WBC and was just not even also in being incorporated into the new rules. So there's a lot of new stuff that Trea Turner has to learn since he hasn't really experienced it since he was at the WBC. I think this is a buy low opportunity, but at the same time, when we say buy low for Trea Turner, you're still not walking out of there without.
Got to pay up.
You're going to have to pay up, but it's not going to be okay, you have to give up Ronald Acuna for the guy, but you might be able to give up, a second round talent. We'll see a name that'll pop up. Who would you trade for him, Dom?
I would say this: try and package a Jorge Mateo with an ace. If your pitching is stacked and solid, and you could give up a McClanahan and a Mateo for Trea Turner, I'd do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm giving up McClanahan, my number one pitcher, but it would be on my team, not of the year. But it's something along those lines. I like that idea.
Yeah, something like that. It doesn't have to be exactly those names, but if you have a guy that kind of came out of nowhere that's performing a first round talent like a Mateo with a pitcher similar, it doesn't have to be McClanahan. It could be somebody a little bit lesser than McClanahan, but at least start the conversation there. See what the Trea Turner owner says to you, then go back and forth.
Yes, sir. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about Mr. Pete Alonso, the polar bear himself, and honestly, he's playing like he lives in those frigid climates, because it is just atrocious this week, with only 2 runs, no bombs, 2 ribs, and batting a putrid 158. It's just a down week for him. This is what you get though sometimes with Pete Alonso. He just has a cold week, and then he comes in and hits you 15 home runs the next week. It's just Pete Alonso for you. I mean, he is a career 250 batting average, 260 batting average.
260.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what you're going to live with when you have a player that is a 260 hitter. Sometimes they're just going to have absolutely atrocious weeks. But Pete Alonso, obviously not worried about. He's mashing this year with the number 12 ranked, player in all of baseball. So, it is what it is. You just got to roll with the punches on these bad weeks.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, I don't even think you could buy low on Pete Alonso right now, because he's still second in the league with 10 home runs. He's in the top 5 with 25 RBIs. He has 20 runs, which is also up there. And, the 257 batting average isn't atrocious, because like Matt said, if you're a career 260 hitter and you're right there, he's right on the nudge. A nice little 2-hit game puts him right back over that 260 marker. Just don't be worried if you're the Pete Alonso owner. Don't go for any of those buy low offers right now that you're probably getting. Just stand pat and hold on for the ride and enjoy another 40, 50 home run season from Pete Alonso. But we got one more last guy here for you folks, and it's an interesting one, and it's Teoscar Hernandez. Now, with Teoscar, there was a lot of confusion. Last year he goes over to Seattle from that Toronto Blue Jays team, and there was a lot of high hopes for him. And this year has been a little bit interesting for him, because he hasn't been horrible, but he hasn't been, great either. But let's talk about the last week. He's having a Trea Turner-ish week where he only has 1 run, 1 home run, 2 RBIs, batting 042, which is 1 for 24 on the week, which is, probably killed you in a lot of leagues, to be honest. And on the year, Teoscar's numbers aren't really that great, as I mentioned. 10 runs, 6 home runs, 15 RBIs, 1 steal, batting 208. And I'm about a 5 on the worryometer if we were, doing that type of ordeal with Teoscar right now, because he does need to show us a little something here. He does need to show us a little something here. Last year, he was pretty solid, though. 131 games, 499 at-bats, 71 runs, 35 doubles, 25 home runs, 77 RBIs, 6 steals, and he had 267. He is a career 259 hitter. So, don't forget, he wasn't great at the beginning of his career. He kind of broke out, I would say, in that 2020 shortened season where, he had 16 home runs, batted 289. But if we're talking about, from 2020 to 2022, he's actually he had 283 over that time, and that's 1,239 at bats. So that's pretty good sample size. You know what? I actually might throw a buy low offer at the Teoscar Hernandez owner. Try and give up a little something, and you get yourself a potential top 30 outfielder.
Yeah, I mean, I like Hernandez, but I just kind of is he going to bounce back? What are we going to see? I'm just not really thrilled. It's also kind of was a new team, I believe, too, this year. So we're going to see downwards in stats trajectory because he has to adjust to his new city. So I don't know if it's going to be worth even buying low unless you do have a terrible outfield just based off of what we've seen in the past with players going to new teams. Obviously, some of his stats are going to be down. And we'll see what it is if we start seeing a resurgence in batting average. We can get back up to that 260. Maybe there's an upside for runs and maybe home runs, but we'll see. I don't know if I'm seeing it this year. I'm kind of turned off from him entirely. If I have him, I'm probably trying to package him away.
Damn, yeah. See, I don't know. Now, the more that I look at it, though, I do like Teoscar. Like I said, if you take the last 3 seasons, not including this year, it's 283 batting average, over 1,200 at-bats, so it's kind of a good sample size. He could hit you 30-plus bombs. He's been hitting 4th, 5th in that, good Seattle lineup. I think there is upside here. So Matt and I kind of differ. I guess, do your own research and, come up with your own thoughts. You've heard Matt's argument. You've heard my argument. But, I think we're going to wrap things up. So that is all for today, guys. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Check out our website if you already haven't. A lot of good information about us on there. Access to all of our episodes and much, much more. And thank you guys for making us your first listen each and every day. Quick shout out real quick. If you're not familiar with the Locked On, community here, Locked On Pirates is, a very, very good podcast. The Pirates are great this year. They got a bunch of young kids. Go check out Locked On Pirates. Do us a favor, subscribe to their YouTube channel. And just again, thank you to all of our everydayers and new listeners. We truly appreciate all of you tuning in. And tune in tomorrow. Matt and I are doing a fantastic waiver wire episode per usual, providing you with the best must-add players heading into week 5. But guys, until then,
peace.